Okay, my hair's all poofy. Alrighty. Setting up on Facebook. I always do YouTube first because it doesn't always work, so sometimes it takes me a minute. Oh, my hair's all goofy. Okay. Just waiting for people to turn up. Time is it? Almost 3 o'clock. Hello. I'm not usually on at this time, so we'll see what happens. Okay. Okay, I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up. While we're waiting, I'd love to hear where you're from. I'm here in Vancouver, Canada. Gorgeous sunny day. I'm sitting here working, but it is a beautiful day out. Tomorrow we have a long weekend, but when you work for yourself, there are no weekends or weekdays because you work 7 days, sometimes more, it's weird. But yeah, weekends don't mean anything to me. And I always have to make a note, like tomorrow is a public holiday and my gym doesn't open until like later. So how many times do you think I turn up right at 5 when it opens normally? Because I never know when it's a public holiday. Hello, Montreal and Northeast Pennsylvania. Welcome. And North New Jersey. North New Jersey. I don't really know where. No, I do know where New Jersey is. Melbourne, Australia. Welcome. D. Silva, you've been here before. Belgium, presently. Samaya. Hi, Lisa. Oh, right. Hi, Samaya. That's the one I keep saying wrong, I think. Or I'm very self-conscious of saying that name wrong. Welcome back. Anyway, yeah, I'm not normally on at this time. It's a Sunday afternoon, and I just thought I better come on here because I haven't been on, I don't think, for a couple of days. My daughter and I, she's on with me full-time now, and we are just making changes out the wazoo. So just with tons of stuff going on. So yeah, lives are harder to do right now. Olathe, Kansas. Never heard of that before. UK. Hi from Pennsylvania. Welcome, everyone. Let's just get going. My name's Lisa. If you go in the link above, you can see the free behavior board, the mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, toddlers, and then 3 to 12. And or you can look into coaching. And those mini toddler courses are a bonus thrown into the toddler boot camp course. So yeah, if you only need 1 or 2, then it's not worth it. But yeah, anyway. Okay, so let's get going with your questions. I feel like I'm missing something. No, maybe not. I don't know. Okay, so I'm just going to wait for your parenting questions. This is such a corny thing to say, but I absolutely love it. I just don't have a good way of saying it. Maybe someone can help me out with this. I wrote this down one day. I thought it was so profound. I think I wrote it down during a live, but I haven't got a good way of saying it. It is, if your kids feel good around you, they are good around you. If they feel bad around you, like about themselves, they are bad around you. So if someone makes you feel good, you tend to be good around them. You tend to want to please that person. It's just a natural instinct. I think as adults, we're like that too, by the way. If someone makes you feel great about yourself, how do you treat that person? Think about it. So is there a better way of saying that? Because if your kids feel good around you, they're good around you. If they feel bad around you, they're bad around you. Horrible. Okay. Another funny one that just came up. Oh, that's not a funny one, but this one is funny. This girl, she was during a live. The mom was talking about her daughter and saying, what had happened. She's evidently a bit of a bully, pushing other kids around. She's 8 years old. And then she cries because no one likes her. So I said, you say to her, you got to be likable to be liked. She just didn't get that. So I thought that's a good one. I did tell my kids that. I said, what you get here is unconditional love. We love you no matter what. When you go out in the world, you got to earn that. So yeah, you got to work for it. Okay. Ontario, Long Island, New York. Okay. How do I stop my child from hugging the strangers? I don't know how old they are. Yeah, I don't know how old they are. So if you could put an age, that would help. So I'm just waiting. It's very slow right now. If I come on at this time on a Sunday, it's usually slow because I think a lot of my 6 years old hugging strangers just say, you don't go up and hug everyone. Like, I don't go up and hug everyone. It's just, not everyone wants to be hugged. There's nothing wrong with you. It's just that they don't know you. So, or whatever. So yeah, just say it like it is. Just say it like it is. Yeah, when I come on at this time, a lot of people are having Sunday dinners, right? So, if my 2-year-old is going somewhere they shouldn't, and I tell them to stop, or if they're doing something that whatever, I'm going to take the toy away. Okay, and then they stop. But is what I saw wrong? I don't know what you mean. That's what you said wrong. I don't quite know what you mean there. Oh, say. Oh, okay. My 2-year-old is doing something they shouldn't, and I tell them to stop, or else I'm going to take the toy away. And then they stop. But is what I said wrong? So that's not bad. I mean, 2-year-olds are kind of, it's not bad. It's not what I would do, but it's not bad. So I don't really want to, if it's working, keep doing it. I don't want to nitpick with this because a lot of it is just sort of, trial and error with toddlers. And that's why if you look at the toddler course I just finished last week, it's just a reference guide because you're not going to run into all this stuff with toddlers. And if something's working right now, it's not a bad thing. It is the warning before you take action. If they know it's naughty, if they don't know it's naughty. Yeah, okay. My style is I let them commit the crime, then I impose the consequence. You see, you're giving a warning. It's not bad though. I don't want to nitpick that. Sorry, I don't want to criticize that because it's not bad. It's just not what I would do. It doesn't mean it's bad just because it's not my style. Doesn't mean it's bad. So I don't really want to, criticize that. Does that make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. Anyway, to me it did. Okay, I'm going to read out my top 5 tips for parenting toddlers. Number 1 is child-proof your home so you never have to say no. Number 2 is set up a toy rotation system so they're never bored. Number 3 is when you want to connect with a toddler, you do so in their world. You don't take them to the nail salon, you go to the park with them and roll down the hill. They just look at you differently when you get good at this. Number 4 is kind of similar. You discipline a toddler in their world. They're not about words, they're about actions. You use consistent corrective actions when they do something you don't want them to do. And then number 5 is stop trying to figure them out. Toddlers are not figure outable. They're brand new, fresh human beings. They're in the discovery phase. They're just discovering it. They might even go like this and smear poop on the wall. They're just kind of crazy. Well, I always call them crazy. It's just that they haven't developed sanity yet. Okay. Okay. How do you help a 10-year-old with high anxiety who may also have high functioning autism when they don't want to ever leave the house and will get fixated on one friend to play with and prefers not to play with friends? It makes for long days for us, and I fear her becoming a lonely adult. Sorry, that would be coaching. Okay. Yeah, autism is coaching. You'd have to look into, I'd have to assess the situation before I'd know how to move forward. My gut reaction is just to expose her to as many things as possible. If she never wants to leave the house a lot. It's called exposure therapy. But if they have autism and anxiety, it can actually cause problems if not done carefully. So, you can take that with a grain of salt, But in coaching, I would assess it and decide how to move forward. But you might not need that. But you see what I just said here? You can do exposure therapy, take her out as much as possible. But if that's causing too much anxiety, that's your call. You got to decide whether or not it's too much. Okay, my 4-year-old, I know that name. My 4-year-old, so I'm just going to look that up. Why do I know that name? Oh, sorry. It's just maybe just the first name. Okay. You must have just been here a lot. I thought you were a client, actually. Okay. My 4-year-old son is very hyperactive when it comes to playing. And then I would wonder, why would a client be on here asking questions with me? Okay. My 4-year-old son is very hyperactive when it comes to playing outside and is never content. I sometimes wonder if I am not allowing enough playtime. Is very hyperactive when it comes to playing outside. I don't know. Do you play with him inside? Okay, there's so many different directions I could go with this. He's really hyperactive. Something that tends to help hyperactive kids is something physical that they can do indoors. You know, they can have a balloon where they have to keep it up in the air. What's that called? There's a really cute name for that when you have to keep the balloon up in the air. It's a real cute name. Because I always said I always call it balloon tennis. And this client said, oh yeah, it's called keepy uppy or something. Does that make sense? Anyway, something like that. And they said, oh yeah, keepy uppy. And I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't know that had a name. Anyway, something like that. Or, you know, those little mini trampolines, make sure it's got a bar on it and, you know, for safety, but something that they can do physically indoors too, not just outdoors. And by the way, you can never wear out a hyperactive child. It's impossible. Not if they truly are hyperactive. It's impossible. It almost revs them up even more. And you got to teach them how to calm down too. You got to guide them through it. So let's say you want them to do something creative or science experiments or something creative like painting or something, then you could get them started with that to try and calm them down. But yeah, hyperactivity, I know a lot of parents go about it trying to wear them out, and I've never heard of that being, you know, you can get some of their energy out, but not all of it. Right? And hyperactivity, I see it as a benefit down the road. Right now when they're kids, it's a pain in the butt. But I see it as a benefit. Imagine being an adult with hyperactivity. Like you're always doing stuff. Imagine how much you could get done. Yeah. Good morning from Australia. Can't figure out the time difference here. Yeah, that's where my kids were born and raised. Someone said to me the other day, they said, do you ever visit Australia? Because I moved back here. I immigrated back here after 20 years in Australia. My mom wasn't doing well, so I wanted to be here for my mom. So I immigrated back to Canada. And someone said to me the other day, have you ever been back to Australia? I haven't, because I never left because I wanted to. I found it heartbreaking leaving. And I'm not a big traveler. I like living in different places. I like to nest wherever I go, but I'm not big on traveling around. But yeah, I loved Australia. It was hard to leave. I love Canada too, but you know, anyway. Okay, how do you stop a 3-year-old from screaming? I don't know why they're screaming. Are they happy, sad? I don't know. What kind of screaming is it? And they're 3 years old. You can just put down no screaming on the behavior board. It can be in the attitude department depending on, you don't do it with angry screaming, but you can do it with excited screaming. They can't control the angry screaming as much. That'll take care of itself once you're a leader, but the happy screaming, you can put on the board. It's kind of hard to do. Like you just have to decide, is it happy screaming? They just squeal because they're excited. 3 years old, they can learn to stop doing that. I play on the floor with my 12-month-old daughter. How do I stop her from pulling my hair? I tell her firmly no, but she just laughs. Oh yeah, just don't have your hair accessible. Just push, you know, every time she goes for it, just push her away. Don't let her do it. That's how you stop it. If you continually let her do it, it's fun because she sees that reaction. So that's not real. Yeah, don't misinterpret that as real laughter. It's just sort of testing. But yeah, just don't let her do it. My son has started stuttering at 2.5. Any suggestions on how to deal with this? I usually say it correctly and slowly, and he repeats it perfectly. Yeah, stuttering. Well, I'm not a doctor, so I don't want to comment on this, but I do have my views on that. So, but I hesitate to discuss it because I'm not a doctor. Do you know what I'm in an awkward position here. Yeah, I don't want to discuss that because I'm not a medical, but I'm not a medical person. So, but I do have some ideas. But anyway, yeah, I can't discuss it. Sorry. It's one of those things, a few things like that it's like if a child's holding their breath and passing out, I know exactly what to do with that. Not stuttering isn't that easy. The holding breath is a really easy one, but I can't discuss it because I'm not a doctor. It's one of those. Sorry about that. Sorry. Is leadership parenting style the same as democratic parenting style? I don't know what the heck that is. By the way, don't ask me about other parenting styles. I just talk about the old-fashioned authority and the newfangled pleaser. Anything under those umbrellas, I don't know anything about. I've literally never looked into anybody else and what they teach. The only reason I know anything about what's out there is my clients come to me and they tell me what's out there. But yeah, I'm very careful about that. I stay in my own lane. I learned that everything I teach, I learned through kids. It's all out in the field, personal experience. That's all I teach. Never read a book on kids or parenting. And I don't critique other people who teach it. I wouldn't know them. Okay. How did you go with your kids when they go into a toddler bed? Okay. So getting your kids from a normal crib into a toddler bed. Well, when did I do it? I'll tell you what happened with my kids. It happened with both of them this way. One, my son, and I didn't see it coming because he was never trying to get out of anything. He wasn't an adventuresome kid at all. So I heard him hit the ground. He just flopped out onto the floor and had a fit when he did, you know. So that was it. I dismantled the crib and just put him on a mattress and put pillows around it. And my daughter, I could see it coming more with her. She wasn't adventuresome either, but she didn't have the fear as much as my son. But I already had a bunch of pillows. I think I actually had a mattress down there waiting. So she did fall out and hit the mattress that scared her. But I still dismantled the crib and then just put her on the crib mattress and surrounded it by pillows. And then what I did was I did like a bedtime sort of ritual. So to keep them in bed. You can check into my bedtime battles course. It goes from 2 to 8 years old. It's in 2 parts, how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. So yeah, that if you do buy the toddler boot camp course, it's included in that. It's as a bonus. So if you've already bought the toddler boot camp course, it's in there. It's an attachment. Okay, how can I correct a 2-year-old who is mimicking the behaviors of her 5-year-old brother who's on the spectrum? No, she'll grow out of that. I wouldn't worry about it. She'll grow out of it. Unless he's hitting himself, then I would, sort of try and stop that. But yeah, she should grow out of that. I wouldn't worry about that right now. How do you stop a child that dumps toys and then runs away? Well, I don't know the age. Are they 2 or 12 or I don't know. I need an age. 3-year-old thumb sucking at night. There's not much you can do about thumb sucking. You can't take their thumb away from them. And the bitters and all that stuff doesn't seem to work. So yeah, I don't know. That's not an easy one. Keepy uppy. There you go. I was close. What did I say? Keepy uppy? I said that, didn't I? Yeah. And the way the parent said it, oh yeah, keepy uppy. Like everyone knows that. I didn't know that. Okay, so I'm going to scroll ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer because people come and go. Like even though it only looks like I have 50 people in here, I might end up having 500. I learned that a while ago. I thought, oh, I only got 50 people. And then the total was 500. So I know people come and go. That's why I scroll ahead. Is it too much change for a 2.5-year-old to potty train and transition to a toddler bed at the same time? I would say yes. I would do, what would I do first? I would do the bed first because it's a little bit easier and it teaches you some leadership skills. You start to sort of go up the scale with the leadership stuff and the potty training is harder. Bedtime is one of the easiest things you can do. It's one ugly night usually, but then it's fast. Potty training can drag out. It might not. It's one of those. Some kids potty train easier than others. It's not always. There's no predictability with toddlers. Okay, thumb sucking, maybe the nail polish for biting nails might work. I have never heard of anything like that works, according to my clients who had chronic thumb suckers. They said they just chew off the nail polish, spit it out, and they keep going. So, and with the bitters, they just suck it all off, spit, and then they just keep going. Yeah, maybe if they're not that bad, not that chronic with it, it might work. I don't know. Oh, brushing the teeth of a 12-month-old. Again, I'm not a dentist. It's one of those things. I know what I would do, but it's one of those things. I'll tell you as a mother what I did with my kids. If they didn't like having their teeth brushed, there's it looks like a rubber thumb and it has little bristles on the end. I just rubbed their gums, like sort of got them used to that. So by the time they got into a really soft baby toothbrush, it wasn't that big a deal. Plus, they were starting to learn when mom said something's going to happen, it's going to happen. They didn't tend to fight me very often, and I was pretty gentle with stuff. So, when I said it's going to happen, I'm not talking about I was asking them to walk through fire. It was just, I'm going to brush your teeth. You're going to have a bath. You're going to get your diaper changed. It was that kind of stuff. They just understood it was going to happen. So yeah, just make it really gentle at first so that when they see that whatever is going for their mouth to brush their teeth, it's not going to be a negative experience. We did the potty training first, just after 2, and she's now over 3 in her crib still. We might transition in fall so we can cuddle and cool night. Yeah. Um, I use that finger brush, but she bites my finger hard. Yeah, that can happen. That's part of it. Then I would just go to the toothbrush. And there's some really nice toothbrushes out there now. There weren't so much when my kids were little. But like even if they bite it, it's like a silicone wrap on it. So it's soft to bite into, and they tend to like doing that. So, okay. This is a very good question. I get asked this a lot. My 3.5-year-old comes often to me while she's having a tantrum and wants a hug. Can I hug her without talking and looking at her? No, you're condoning it. What you're doing is good tantrum, good tantrum. She's looking for validation. That's all. That's not a love hug. That's a validate me hug. Okay. Yeah, you don't give love when they're having a tantrum. You can give it other times. Okay. But they don't need it then. They're just looking for validation. That's all. They're feeling a bit insecure and almost self-conscious. It's certainly at 3.5. Usually by 3.5, they're outgrowing tantrums. So you might want to check out my tantrum busting, or check out the boot camp course for 3 to 12 years old. Goes into tantrums there. But yeah, that's a validate me hug. That's all that is. I love you. Yeah, hug. I wouldn't give that any attention if they're having a tantrum. Nope, not at all. Does 24-hour media blackout apply to the whole house? No, this is the way it goes. So 24-hour media blackout, let's say you have 3 kids and only 1 kid has media blackout. The other 2 kids go in the master bedroom with a smaller screen. They're usually quite happy to do that because they know that their brother or sister doesn't get any screens. It's funny, they never tend to complain about that. If they do, I would say to them, fine, you don't have to have media either then. So it's the family unit. Everyone has to suffer a little bit during media blackout. The kid who has media blackout gets the run of the house except the master bedroom. Okay, and you do it, the parents do it with them. Now, let's say they're 5 years old and they've got media blackout. They are mad as anything. So when they've calmed down, if they yell and go on, if they're going, not fair, say, well, that was your choice, or whatever, just don't engage. So let them know that there's no way you're going to be pulled into that argument. I'd only say that once. Anyway, as soon as they calm down, you say, do you want to play a game? No, I hate you. Okay, and then walk away. Half hour later, when they've calmed down, you ready for that game now? You're not going to play games within the whole 24 hours, but you want to engage with them as soon as possible once you've imposed that 24-hour media blackout. And there's no way that you should be using a phone when they haven't got, I know it's not a phone, but my phone, I'm filming them. But there's no way you should be on your phone or using screens when you've got a kid who has media blackout. You use that as your time to bond with them. There's no anger, none. They may never play a game with you. That's okay. But you're just showing that you love them. You're not mad at them. That's just, but 24-hour media blackout is happening. Oh, you ready for that game now? No, I hate you, not fair. Never mind then. You see? Calm. Okay, this is from Simi on YouTube. I'm struggling a bit with my 3-year-old regarding hyperactivity and talking back, giving attitude when given instruction. How do I handle the age appropriately? Okay, you can look at the behavior board. Okay, actually, I'm looking at YouTube camera now. I have 2 cameras going. I'm usually looking at this other one. Anyway, so you can look at the behavior board. It's completely free, and it's in the link in my description here on YouTube. And it'll teach you how to, what are you struggling with here? Talking back. It'll teach you the hyperactivity. I don't address either one of those things. It'll teach you how to connect with her more and how to start being a leader. You never put attitude on the behavior board. You never address attitude. You never discuss it before, during, or after. There's no point. Imagine if you're having an argument with your spouse and they say to you, oh, we'll discuss it when you have a better attitude. You see, how would that go over? Oh, we'll discuss it when you've calmed down. How would that go over? So yeah, we don't like our attitude discussed. So speaking of attitude, this is such an off-topic story, but it just always struck me as so cute. I used to work with these bunch of guys. I was going to call them young guys. They were probably like in their 30s, and they were all married with kids and that. But it was a marketing department, and I was the secretary there, and I was like 18. And they were all like my big brothers. God, they were funny. Anyway, what they did was one day, I think I was a little bit cranky, probably had my period, whatever, a little bit cranky. Well, this one guy, his name was Dave. I'll never forget this. He said, well, oh, okay, we'll have to do something about that. And then I saw him at his desk working on something. He'd set up a calendar of Lisa's cycles, and it was all happy faces, sad faces, mad faces. So anytime he'd ask me something, if I wasn't 100% pleasant, he'd say, oh, I better go check the calendar. Actually, I said that No one likes attitude discussed, but I thought that was pretty darn funny. And then he showed it to everybody who came into the office to make sure they understood when they could talk to me. Okay. My daughter is 2.5 years old. Is it best to pay for the new toddler boot camp course or the 3 to 12? She's 2.5, the toddler one. Yeah, I would do the toddler one. That other one, the 3, you can do it maybe a month or 2 early, but it really is at 3 is when they're starting to get it. So, and I had a person going through a group coaching session with that course a while ago. And they said they bought it when their the 3-year-old course, and they bought it when their child was 2.5. And they said, total waste of time. They just don't understand stop and think before you act. They're all about consistent corrective action. So yeah, I would recommend the smaller, the younger one. Best way to teach 4-year-old to be quiet or not yell in public. Everything is yelling all the time. The good and the bad feelings, they are loud. Well, now the thing is, you said something really interesting, not to yell in public. So they're supposed to have a different personality when they're in public. And see, I expected my kids to sort of be the same everywhere like I am. I don't have a different personality. Like I'm the same wherever I go, pretty much, more comfortable with people I know, but you know what I'm saying? So yeah, you have to expect the same behavior at home that's consistency. So are they just loud and yelling all the time anyway? Yelling is in the attitude department, but I would work on my leadership. If you're a leader, they just don't do that. They just don't. They'd be embarrassed. Yeah, work on your leadership. Check out my boot camp course, 3 to 12 years old. Check that out. It'll teach you how to be a leader. It's all about you. Everything I teach is parenting. I don't fix kids. I fix and teach parents here. Sorry, I live downtown. Sorry. I never notice sirens because I'm a city girl through and through, except when I'm doing a live, because I know my daughter uses these lives for my videos, so I don't want sirens in them. But normally I wouldn't even hear that. Okay. My 5-year-old lashes out from anger with others or herself. She gets physical, says mean things. I fear I waited too long to be a leader. Oh, you haven't waited too long. I specialize in teenagers, so she's only 5. That's low self-esteem is why she does that. So yeah, work on your leadership skills. You can check out the boot camp course for 3 to 12 years old. Yeah, it's low self-esteem. That's why she does that. Because she does it to herself too. That's how I know. There's a lot of yelling on here. When you're a leader, they don't yell. So everyone wants to fix their kids, but you got to fix yourself. You lead, they will follow. They don't yell. When they have a leader, they don't yell. They just don't. Everything kind of goes back to you. Their behavior between the ages of 3 and 12 years old, their behavior is 100% a direct result of you and your parenting. 100%. Very few exceptions, unless they have some disabilities or something or challenges. But yeah, or some outside trauma or something. But yeah, 100%. 100%. Where can I buy the new course? Everything I have is up in the link above. We're making a lot of changes. My daughter came on board full time. And yeah, she's changing everything. I can't find anything today. We set up a whole bunch of stuff. But I know we haven't fooled with that link. That link is the exact same. It's everything behind the scenes that we're adjusting. Okay. 2.5-year-old shouts, stop yelling. Okay. Or whatever, at the top of his voice every time me and his dad are talking. So he's an interrupter. We try to ignore it and reward asking nicely for attention. Not sure how else to handle this. Oh, I could go in a million different directions with this. My kids were that age and they knew never to interrupt. They learned that. But I was a leader. I was very consistent. I followed through with what I did. So if they were interrupting, I'd say no. And then I'd say, go play. And they would literally just walk out of the room. They would not interrupt. But how often do you play with your 2.5-year-old? And are you in control of when you play with them, or are they in control? See, my kids were in control. They were in charge of the play, but I was in charge of when I played. So I played hard with my kids when they were little. That's part of leadership. Their love language is play and fun. So yeah, I'm wondering how often do you play? And you've got to be in charge of when you play. So that's kind of a tough one. That's almost in the coaching department. Interrupting is a really hard one. It just is for a 2.5-year-old. It's very hard. But yeah, yeah. Why can't I see the link above? I don't know. Should be there. A Facebook. Oh, I don't know how to do. Am I on Facebook? Yeah. I don't know how to do it. I don't do my own social media. It should be somewhere. Maybe someone else can help you. Like, where's the link for all my course? Well, other people do find it, so I know it's there. Other people find it. It's just a link. If you look up course, I honestly don't know. I don't even know if I've ever gone on my page. I don't do that. Sorry about that. But I know other people can find it. So anyway, I got to go over to Instagram now. If you want to follow me over there, it's BratBusters Parenting. If not, check out the link above if you can find it. It's BratBusters Parenting. Is BratBusters.com is my website. If you can't find the link, just go. Now be very careful with that. There's a whole bunch of fake people out there. We've reported a bunch of them. They're literally pretending to be me. So there's a guy evidently on Instagram, I think. He's making tons of money off people pretending to be me. It's frustrating just because I don't want people to get ripped off. Anyway, so it's my website is BratBusters, plural.com, not .ca, not .net, .com. Anyway, BratBusters.com. Anyway, okay, I got to go. But check out the link. So you can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my 2 boot camp courses, toddlers and 3 to 12 years old, or you can look into coaching. So I'm heading over to Instagram now. Happy parenting. I always wonder why people on YouTube retract so many messages. So what is it that you're putting out there that you just have to take away? I always wonder, because I never seem to see it before you take it away. I'm like, what did you write? Okay, I'm just waiting. Instagram's fast. People turn up very quick on here. It takes about 8 to 10 seconds to get about 150 people. It's the only one that's that fast for some reason. Hello. Okay, let's get going. By the way, I never let anyone in on my lives. I'm here to serve you. And what happened one time, I only did it once a couple of years ago on a TikTok live, and I let someone in and they started talking about their business. I had a really big live. It was like a couple thousand people in the live, and they started talking about their business. And then I was brand new. I didn't know how to get rid of them. It was awful. I literally felt sick. Because I'm here to serve. Like, I'm not here to waste your time with other people's business spiels. Yeah, I was not impressed at all. And then she goes, I'm a parent. I do have a question. Yeah, get lost. I couldn't get rid of her fast enough. Anyway, I've just been burned, so I never let anyone in. Okay. Plus, also, I'm very careful, too, because I pick questions that I think would serve a lot of people. So if someone came in and then they just wanted to talk about their own issues, it might not serve anybody because I do select which questions I think will serve the most people. So yeah, I like to sort of control the lives. Okay, well, I don't quite know what's going on, but I'm wondering if it's a bullying issue. How can I get my 5-year-old to stand up for himself? Okay, let's just go with bullying. Let's say it's bullying. It's a good example, a way to use this anyway. So I'm going to tell you how I dealt with bullying. When I was a kid, it only happened to me once, and I was in grade 2. Well, it was an attempt at bullying. And I was in the hallway all by myself during class because I had to go to the bathroom. And I'd never been in an empty hallway at the school before. It was really bizarre. And I was all excited. I felt so special just because I had to pee, Anyway, so I'm walking down the hall. Darned if out of the principal's office comes the grade 5 kid who is the school bully. And I'm grade 2, he's grade 5. And he was a big kid. Big, nasty kid. Anyway, and as soon as he saw me, little me, walking down the hallway all by myself, he was licking his chops. He thought, oh, God, I just was so scared. I thought if I hadn't already peed, I probably would have wet myself. but I had to get past him because he was near my class and I couldn't avoid him. So anyway, he comes right up to me. My maiden name was Hanky. So he comes right up in my face and he goes, Hanky Panky. And I said, I prefer Snot Rag and Boogie Bundle. Oh, well, got to get back to class. And he never came near me again. So then I realized, I didn't know how I knew how to do that, but we always laughed at our last name anyway. So it was nothing, no big deal. But anyway, what I had done with him is I had agreed with him, used humor, then had an exit plan. I knew how I changed the subject. Okay. So that's what I teach children. You agree with the bully, use humor if possible, and then redirect. Okay. So we do it with role playing. So what I suggest you do with your 5-year-old, let's say he's being bullied, you be him and he be the bully. But when you're bullying, never use what he's being bullied about, because even though you're role playing, it still hurts. Like if a kid is bullying him about having a big nose, you don't use that in role playing. You put a silly hat on and joke about the hat. Oh, look at that stupid hat. And then you teach them, you role play, and you go back and forth. Do it like fun theater. It's not a serious thing. Do it fun. The idea is the more they get used to doing this at home, just practicing, verbalizing this stuff, the easier it comes out when they're faced with a bully. Okay. But I don't know if you were talking about bullying, but that's a good thing for people to know anyway. Years and years ago, I used to be a mediator between school and parents and the other parents. And I remember, and I don't do anything in person anymore anyway. This is like almost 20 years ago. And so anyway, I always said to my client, I said, do not mention the word bully. Don't use the word bullying, because we're going in there and their kid was being bullied. So we're going to meet in the principal's office with both sets of parents, no kids, but both sets of parents. And so I said, the idea, let me talk for you. I'm there as a mediator. And I said, what we're going to work on is how to help the kids get along. That's how we're going to word it. Sure enough, every time I did it, the parents would say, your kid's bullying mine. And those parents get mad and it's just a disaster. So I never did that anymore. But yeah, bullying can really bring out a lot of ugly in people. It's really nasty. Now, you never teach a child to fight back physically, and I'll tell you why. I'm kind of on the fence with this because I know you want to help your kids defend themselves. If a lot of people do. But the thing is, bullies aren't always cowards. Sometimes they are practiced fighters and they're good at it. Okay. And it's up to the adults. If it's physical bullying, that's up to the adults to deal with. It's not, I wouldn't teach kids how to deal with that. Yeah. Okay, you got a 5.5-year-old, suddenly very defiant, normally very sweet and kind. I don't know what's going on there. I would have to assess that. Something must have happened. They don't change at 5.5. They change at 3. They change at 9 to 12. They change at 15, but not usually 5.5. So I don't know. They could, but I'm assuming something's happened. Oh, you must be Australian or UK. Whinges. 3-year-old whinges when asking for things all the time. I raised my kids in Australia, so that's how I know that. Whinging is whining. 3-year-old whinges when asking for things all the time. They're old enough to understand. Don't say, I want that. You say, may I please have? And then you say, I will never answer you if you use that tone of voice. And then say, it's like, eh. And then there can be like a little ear tug to remind them whenever they do it. So whenever they go, they're just so used to doing it, they're not going to notice and just go like that to let them know. That's what I'll do in future every time you use that voice. So then they have to use a nicer voice. And I would say, I will never answer you when you whine at or whinge at me. But if you use a nice voice, I will answer you, but the answer may still be no. Okay? And if they whine because the answer is no, then you want to work on your leadership skills. And that would be the boot camp course for 3 to 12-year-olds. 4-year-old has major sassy attitude. How can I discipline her? You don't. You fix yourself. That's a reflection of your parenting. By 4 years old, that's a reflection of your parenting. You fix yourself. They're not sassy to leaders at all. Not by 4 years old. No way. Check out the boot camp course for 3 to 12 years old. Their behavior between 3 and 12 years old is a direct reflection of your parenting. So their attitude is on you. You can fix that by fixing yourself, by fixing your parenting, by learning how to be a leader. They just don't sass a leader. They would be embarrassed because they look up to you. You're like a mentor. They want to please you. That's a normal, natural reaction. Think about it. Even you, if you met someone that made you feel great about yourself, brought out the best in you, wouldn't you treat that person great? That's the pool story. Check out the pool story. That is The very first video pinned here at the top of my page. It's called Example of Leadership Parenting, and it's the pool story. It explains leadership and why kids treat a leader so great. You deal with bad behavior, but then you focus on the good kid. All your focus, all your energy goes on the good kid, but I don't ignore anything. I deal with bad behavior, but it's fast. It's like a business transaction. There's no emotions, nothing. And then I focus on the good kid. It's really important. Also, you never discuss the bad behavior. You deal with it. Why would you discuss? A lot of parents want to discuss all the bad behavior. What you're doing is you're actually guaranteed you're going to get more of it. Yeah, I won't go on about it, but yeah, don't discuss bad behavior. There's no point. It gets into the bullying, berating, nagging department, and it just makes them worse. Okay, so I'm going to scroll ahead to make sure you're still here when I answer your questions. Oh, God, I got a lot of them. Okay. How does a leader handle meal times? Believe it or not, meal times are one of the trickiest things that I work with in coaching. Meal times, usually it goes something like this. You say, follow mealtime routine. You can put it on the behavior board. And the mealtime routine, you write down underneath. It's come to the table within 5 minutes of being asked to do so. Once you sit down, you don't get up again. There's no toys at the table. And then when you do get up at the end of a meal, when the parents say it's okay to get up when you're finished, you put your dishes on the sink. It goes something like that. And then you don't say anything during mealtime, but afterwards you can say, okay, let's go to the board. That didn't go very well. Here's the consequence. But you don't start that until they're 3. And then under 3, they're usually in a high chair. But yeah, you just have a routine, have a structure. And but you gotta follow through with this stuff. Like a lot of parents, parents are always trying to fix their kids. It just makes no sense at all to try and fix your kids. You're fixing yourself. You lead, they will follow. Are you 100% consistent when you're disciplining? Are you calm? Do you yell? Do you hit? Do you lose it? That's what you're working on. Yeah, I was never yelled at. I never yelled. Leaders don't yell. Do my clients yell? Yeah, almost all of them. That's why they hire me. Most parents yell because you don't know what else to do. Because it works in the short term. It backfires big time down the road. Big time. So yeah, yelling will come right back at you tenfold. Do you allow screen time during mealtime? No, that's bonding time. That's you're sitting around chatting. No toys, no screens, nothing. Does the leader eat with them? If you can. If you're not going to eat with them, sit with them. Sit and talk to them. I wouldn't expect a kid to just go sit at a table and eat all by themselves. I was always sitting with my kids when they were eating. Sitting there chatting. Yeah, I would sit and chat with them. Can a toddler have too many leaders? 2.5-year-old. Does someone have to give? No, you can't have too many leaders. No, but there usually is one clear leader. Usually. Like my mom was the leader, my dad was the pleaser. But he learned to defer to her. And that's how it works. It works well if it's done that way. And by the age of 3.5, you're sort of under the leader's umbrella anyway. So you kind of treat everyone the same way you do the leader. But before that, you're just usually really good with the leader and not with the pleaser. But yeah, I was the leader. My ex-husband was the pleaser. And it worked because he deferred to me and used me as leverage. And that's how you make it work. There usually is one clear leader. And the funny thing is, the leader is the prized role. That's the one you play hard with those kids. Not to say the other parent isn't great, but the prized role is the leader because you're the one they tell everything to, right through the teen years. That's the leadership role. There's a real comfort with that because when you're a leader, you come across as someone who knows how to take care of business. They feel safe with you. Yeah, you're going to help them solve problems. I never solved problems for my kids. I guided them, I encouraged them to solve their own problems, like my mom did with me. I always thought I was solving all my own problems, but my mom was chatting to me while we were doing it, and I realized she was feeding me ideas. I always thought I was solving all my own problems. But yeah, she was very good at building confidence. Probably too much so. Okay. You got a hitter. Okay, check out the boot camp course, or you can just put no hitting on the behavior board and then follow through. Follow through. They learn through consequences. We all do. If you say no hitting, that hurts people, they're not listening to that. Let's say a cop pulled you over and said, no speeding, it hurts my feelings when you speed. I would just go and speed off. Like, if he gave me a ticket, I wouldn't. See what I mean? We all follow rules because of consequences. That's why we pay our taxes. That's why we pay our rent or our mortgage, right? There's consequences if we don't. We all live by consequences. Why do you expect your kids not to? It always strikes me as confusing to me. Why do you expect your kids to just not do something because you said it hurts your feelings or because you've reasoned with them? No, it's consequences. It's consequences. They learn. I used to tell my kids, when your good life is good, if your bad life ain't so good, I'll make sure of that because I'm your mom and that's my job. So, and they were easy kids, but I wanted to empower them that their life is up to them. If they're good, life is good. I'll make sure of that. But if they're not good, you see? So I wanted them to feel empowered, that it was all up to them. It was your choice. If they got 24-hour media blackout, I don't think they ever did. But I mean, if they got a consequence, they knew it was their choice. They would actually apologize. Say, sorry, Mom. Sorry you had to punish me. There was no crying, nothing. Everything's about consequences. You just said about procrastinating 3-year-olds somewhere. I just whizzed through it and I lost it. But yeah, how do you teach them not to procrastinate? It's a consequence if they do. You have to do your consequence for something is you have to do a chore within 15 minutes. There's a timer. When that 15 minutes is up and they haven't done the chore, then there's no TV for 24 hours or whatever. It's consequences. Check out the behavior board. It's all the information is there about hitting. Trying to get my God, you're going to hate me. Trying to get my 8-year-old to practice piano, and every time it's a huge fight. Is it that important that he plays? My mom was a piano teacher, and I hated the piano. I couldn't wait to get rid of it. Like, I just hated playing. I didn't enjoy it. So we were very different. My mom loved music, and she loved knitting and stuff like that, and crocheting and all that sort of stuff. And she thought it was very important to teach me that stuff. I'm a sewer. I do like that stuff, but I never liked the piano. But she just thought it was so important that we play, because she was a piano teacher at one time. She thought it was very important. But I remember I was a teenager and I discovered fitness. I'm an adrenaline junkie. And my mother had none of that in her at all. She didn't like adrenaline at all. And I remember once I was like an adult, a mother, and she was visiting us in Australia from Canada. My kids were a bit older than that. And I just got home from the gym because I work out every day. I got home from the gym, and this struck me as so odd. My mother said to me, and she was my best friend, by the way, but we were very different. We had very different personalities and likes. Anyway, so we didn't have a lot in common, but she was my best friend. Anyway. So I came home from the gym and I'd really pushed I used to teach aerobics and that. And I was just exhausted. And I said, oh my God. I said, I just feel like I need a nap. And she said to me, she goes, why would you put yourself through that? Like, she had no concept of the fact that adrenaline and wearing yourself out is a high. It's that endorphin release. It's exciting, right? Whereas she couldn't understand, or like to her, that's what music did for her. But she couldn't understand why it didn't do it for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, that playing the piano meant nothing to me, whereas she got that same high playing the piano. So yeah, don't push your adrenaline stuff on your kids is what I'm saying. You know, if it's that important to you to teach them piano, I can't really help you with that, because I don't agree with pushing them into something they don't enjoy, because it's an extracurricular, right? It's nothing necessary that they have to do. If your toddler is hitting your newborn, don't expect your toddler to be responsible and babysit the newborn. They might throw them on the floor. You have to supervise them 24/7 to keep that newborn alive. Okay? You can't expect a toddler to understand soft spot, concussions, artery spurting blood. Don't expect them to understand that. Your expectations are out of whack. Toddlers don't understand that stuff. Just protect the newborn. Keep them, never leave them alone with them. You know what's interesting is that I get caught up in responding to your questions. This is nothing like when I'm coaching, I don't discuss discipline. We do, but not much. It's more about connecting. 99.9% of parenting is connecting and bonding with your children, making them feel good about themselves. The discipline is just a tiny, tiny part of it. But yeah, I gotta take more control of this, because all I'm doing, I get caught up in responding to what I'm seeing in front of me, but it's not where I put my energy at all. Fun is kids' love language. Humor is what I used with kids. I used fun, play, humor with troubled teens, toddlers, all ages. That was my leverage when I was working with kids. Hundreds of them. That was what I used to be a leader, was the fun, the humor. I connected with them. I bonded with them. And then they cared what I thought. They wanted to please me. That's leadership. You want to bring out the best in them. Okay. Best way to connect with a 10-year-old. You always connect with kids in their world. I'm going to read you. What's that story? Oh, okay. I'm going to tell you a story about my son. He was, I think, 15. And I remember this like it was yesterday. We were like best buddies. He was like my girlfriend. We'd giggle and laugh and talk about everything. And he was starting to turn into a man, but I saw it coming. And I thought, I'm going to lose my girlfriend here. So anyway, every single morning I'd come downstairs and he'd be in the kitchen at the sink. And I'd say, "Morning, sweetie." And he'd turn around and go, "Morning, Mom," with a crackly voice. One day, and he shot up overnight. Like, he was tiny. Like, his sister, 5 years younger, almost beat him height-wise. She almost reached him. He was short for most of his life. And then he hit 16 and he shot up to 6 feet tall, like overnight. It was unreal. And his voice, I got up he was 15. He just turned 15. And I come downstairs, "Morning, sweetie." And he turned around. He just looked different. He turned around and he goes, "Morning, Mom." Like, he turned into a man overnight. It was bizarre. So then he just didn't want to chat as much. He wasn't goofing around with me as much. He was starting to turn into a man, right? So anyway, I thought, how am I going to bond with this kid now? He likes heavy metal music, which I hated, and video games and PlayStation games and all that. I hate all that stuff. So I thought, how am I going to bond with him? Because I'm not stupid. I know you got to do it in their world, right? I wasn't expecting him to bond over, going and doing aerobics with me. I mean, I knew it was going to be in his world. So that, what am I going to do? Because you don't want to push yourself on them, because they're just going to go, "Yeah, what do you want?" So what I did was I just got a magazine and I sat down beside him while he was playing video games, and I became furniture. That's what I call it, furniture. I just sit down beside him. I wouldn't say anything, and I wasn't on a phone, so I wasn't engrossed in something. I just showed that I'm available. So I'd just be flipping through a magazine, and I'd look up every so often. Next thing you know, he's talking to me about the game. We're chatting about it. And it wasn't contrived. It was just sort of organically started to happen. And then I started to get interested in the games. So then next thing you know, he's handing me a controller and we're playing games together. Not all the time, but just once in a while, right? So that's how we started connecting. And then he started playing heavy metal music for me. I ended up, my favorite album for about a whole year was NWA's Greatest Hits. It's the only album I like. There's another one that's awful. I hate it. It's so filthy. But this one, I don't know why I got into it. But because he opened my mind. You got to go in with an open mind with kids, okay? It's not going to be in your world that you're going to connect. It's going to be in their world. That's the way it is. So you got to, I never pretend to enjoy something. Like, my son would play all this music and I'd go, "Hate that, hate that, hate that." And then I go, "Oh, I kind of like that one." So then he kind of learned what I liked, and he would make playlists for me and everything. Anyway, here's a funny story. We were doing these, I can play like Crash Bandicoot on the PlayStation, and I can do Guitar Hero. That's about it. Okay. And I'm horrible at both, but I can do them. Anyway, but he loved, at the time, he liked those racing games too at the time, and doing laps. Well, of course, I'm flipping my car. I'm going off cliffs. I'm running over, mothers pushing strollers across the road. I'm just horrible at it. So anyway, and we'd always laugh at how bad I was at this, but I was trying. I just I couldn't get it. I just couldn't get it. So anyway, he goes to the bathroom and he goes, "I'll be right back." So he goes to the bathroom. When he's in the bathroom, I nailed it. I just went around this lap like I couldn't believe it, and he missed it. So he comes back in, and I was yelling out to him, "You got to see this." And he says, "I'm peeing, Mom." I said, and then so finally it comes out, and I said, "You should have seen this lap I just did. It was unbelievable." And he looks at me like I'm insane. And I said, "What?" And he goes, "Mom, that was my replay." He'd replayed. That's how daft I am. But anyway, what you're doing is you're sitting there like furniture. You're waiting for them to invite you into their world, and don't force it on them, but just hopefully they'll invite you in. But you just sit there and just be furniture. You're asking about the 6-year-old who's not being bullied, perhaps. Bullying is when it's repeated, but people are saying mean things to him. I already discussed all that in my bullying. I went into that. You might want to, because I just went into all that just in this live. Or it might have been in the Facebook one. I just don't want to go on about that right now because I've got to move over to TikTok. And but yeah, check out my boot camp course for 3 to 12 years old. It goes into bullying in there and explains how you deal with it. It's not so much that you're teaching them how to be confident, but you're teaching them how to appear confident. Okay, fake it till you make it. Kids don't bully if it doesn't bother them. I was only a kid tried to bully me once when I was in grade 2, and that was it. And neither of my kids were bullied because I taught them how to deal with it. Yeah. Okay, I've got to move over to TikTok now. Check out the link above. You can see my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, a toddler one and a 3 to 12-year-old. The toddler one includes as a bonus all the mini toddler courses. So anyway, and then you can look into coaching. Anyway, I got to run over to TikTok. Well, I'm just clicking over, not running anywhere. Anyway, and so I'll talk to you hopefully tomorrow. Bye now. Hello. I'm on TikTok now. Sorry, I'm just going to take a break and have a sip. My throat gets sore. Hello, I'm just waiting for everyone to turn up here. I'm almost at 700,000 on TikTok now, much to my shock and surprise. I went on here. It was a real fast start because you get all the original people that are on initially. So yeah, I couldn't believe how fast I picked up. I think my first 6 months on here, I got to 500,000 on TikTok. An old lady talking about parenting. And I was doing it in the bathroom mirror, just holding my phone, shaking. I thought, who's going to watch this? But I'm just blown away. I'm very appreciative. I've never, ever take that for granted. I really appreciate it. Okay. Hello, everybody. Okay, let's just get going. My name is Lisa. I'm a parenting coach. If you go on the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them now, toddler one and a 3 to 12-year-old. The toddler one includes all the toddler mini courses in it as a bonus. And you can look into coaching if you're interested in that. I do have a wait list for coaching, but if you're in crisis, I do specialize in teen crisis or any age crisis work. I won't go into what that is. You would know. Crisis is not a 5-year-old throwing himself on the floor with a tantrum. It's the big stuff. It's the life and death stuff usually, with especially teenage stuff. Anyway, but yeah, you take priority. So write down crisis if you're going to message me. Okay, so let's get going here. Oh, I don't discuss picky eating. And I'll tell you why, because I'm not a nutritionist, but I do tell you what I did with my own kids, okay? But it's not advice. It's just sharing my own story. So, by the way, I hate cooking, but I love healthy food. So I did make everything from scratch. And I did puree everything for quite a long time with my kids because I found you could hide healthy stuff in anything. Plus, I never had junk food in the house. Like there was no packaged stuff in our house. I still don't have any of that. So yeah, when they were teenagers, I did because they liked all that stuff. They wanted to try all that stuff. But yeah, I just snuck healthy stuff into anything. If they like yogurt, believe me, there was other stuff thrown in there. They just didn't know it. And my pizza sauce, I remember my son was, I don't know, 3 or something, maybe 4. And he'd had pizza for the first time out and about. And he came home and he goes, "Mommy, the pizza was really weird. The sauce was red." Because my sauce was brown because I had pureed spinach in it. And so, yeah, I could make muffins and cakes and cookies. None of them tasted like you would buy at a bakery, but they looked like they were. But, well, maybe not that pretty, but you know what I'm saying. I was very good at pureeing stuff and throwing it in everything. So, but I'm not giving advice here. I'm just sharing my own story. I'm not a nutritionist, so I can't talk about diet. Plus, I just want to make this clear too. I have mentioned in the past that I am a gluten-free health food vegan, but I would not put that on children. Like, I'm not saying it's good or bad. Like, I didn't do that with my kids. I didn't restrict them. They had to have just healthy food. We never had any ice cream or potato chips in the house or anything. No packaged stuff. But yeah, I didn't put those restrictions on them. That's just my own personal choice. Jennifer Smith on YouTube said, "What's an appropriate consequence for my 3-year-old? She doesn't care when we take away toys or remove her from the situation." Well, have you looked at the behavior board? Check that out. There's 2 consequences. So yeah, check that out. Check out the behavior board. You say you're vegan. Yeah, I'm a gluten-free health food vegan. Like, I'm not looking for vegan donuts or anything. I don't eat anything in a package. Or if I do, it's very rare. But yeah, but I'm not pro-vegan. Like, I'll cook, if you eat meat, I'll cook meat for you. Like, I'm not pro anything. That's my personal choice, right? It's personal choice. What about kids that are clingy, always want to be picked up? Well, just don't pick them up all the time. Yeah, you don't have to do that. Yeah. Say you're all right. And then just go about your business. Just like keep doing the dishes or the chores, go about you're okay. That's what my mother would have said. If I was being demanding or anything with my mom, she would have gone, "You're all right." And then she would have just kept baking. So I would have eventually gone, "Oh, okay." I was talking to a client the other day. What was it my mom did? Oh, if I ever got upset or anything, this was my mom. She was so good at this. So I would be upset and I'd want her to console me, but I was being ridiculous because I didn't get my own way. I didn't have tantrums though, but I can remember this. Maybe it only happened once. I don't remember, but I was being unreasonable about something. And she goes, "Yeah, you're all right." And then she just went about cook. And then she goes, "Do you want to go do some baking?" And here I was upset. And I went, "Oh, okay." She just knew how to shift the energy. She just shifted the energy. Like, I remember that. I remember thinking, "Oh, that was kind of embarrassing, me acting like that." Because I looked up to my mom. She was the leader. So yeah. She was what I would call a passive leader. I'm not. I talk a lot. My mom was more about shifting the energy kind of leader. Whereas I'd be standing there feeling like an idiot because I was just being an idiot. So, and she would just shift. "Oh, do you want to come and do some baking?" "Oh, okay." She wouldn't discuss the crazy stuff. And that's like, this comes up a lot. People say, "What do I do when they want to hug after a tantrum? Do I give them a hug?" And no, it's not a love hug at that point. It's just, can you validate what I just did? They're feeling insecure and they want you to validate that whole scene. So you just go, "You're all right." And then say, "Do you want to read a book?" That's how you do it. You can hug and cuddle your kids, but not around a tantrum, not before, during, or after. Yeah, yeah, "You're all right. You want to read a book? Here, do you want to go to the park?" Like, no big deal. Don't validate that tantrum. That hug and loving up after the tantrum, discussing all that stuff. Oh, it's just awful. It's awful. Oh, I don't even want to go on about it, but I could go on and on about the psychology behind that, or what I believe to be it's why it's so bad. How to sleep train a co-sleeper into their own bed. I assume, okay. Check out my bedtime battles course. It's a whole method, a whole sequence. It's 2 parts: how to get them in bed, then how to keep them there. And it's usually one night of hell. It could bleed into night 2 and 3, but it's usually one real bad night. If you do it well, they often never get up again. Because they just learn, hey, wait, there's no point in me causing a scene at night because it's not going to get me anything. So yeah, it's a mini course. It's up in the link above. If you've got a 20-month-old biting and hitting, check out my Toddlers Who Bite and Hit course. It goes into what you do with that. All my courses, especially my tantrum one, it was 4 times the size of what it is now. I took out everything you don't need. I don't waste, I just put in there what you need to hear. So yeah, that was, I remember editing that course down thinking, they don't need this, they don't need that. So yeah, but that toddler hitting, it's a very simple course, like all those toddler ones, except the potty training and the bedtime battles. They're more extensive. You look so healthy. What do you do? I'm a gluten-free health food vegan, and I'm at the gym every morning. So yeah, I don't drink or anything. I drink once in a blue moon, but then I'm sick for 2 days after 1 glass of wine. So yeah, I'm 63. Yeah, I try and look after myself. A lot of it's luck too, health, right? But yeah, I really look after myself. And also, I always say I work on the bowl, not the lipstick. I hardly ever wear makeup, and I don't care how I dress, but I care about my body, my fitness, my skin health, and all that stuff. I work from the inside out. Like I don't think I would never dye my hair or anything. I work on the bowl, not the lipstick. So, yeah. Does that make any sense? If I don't feel good about myself, it's because I'm not fit. It has nothing to do with makeup or clothes. They don't do it for me. And to each his own, right? To each his own. It's just my own personal view. No, I was not vegan. I've only been vegan for 9 years. Okay, so let's get away from me because we're not here for that. Let me see here. Okay, what is kids' love language? And I want to really drive this point home. If you're not playing with your kids in their world and having fun with them and laughing with them and enjoying them, none of this is going to work. Their love language is fun, is play, is humor. Lighten the mood, have fun with them, because if you're not doing that, none of the other stuff's going to work. It's a balance. 99.9% of everything I teach as a leader is about connecting with kids. It's not about the discipline. The discipline, I go, yeah, that was bad. Here's your consequence. Now let's go to the park. It's like that with me. I do not focus on the discipline. I do it. I don't let anything go. Nothing. I'm very quick. I didn't like that. Here's your consequence. Okay, let's go to the park. That's how quickly I change. And I don't discuss it. It's already been done. After it's done, it's not discussed again. Every time you bring up their bad behavior, you're berating and bullying them. You're making them feel bad. So yeah, it's all about making them feel good. My goal as a leader is always to make kids like themselves. If they like themselves when they're with me, are they going to be mean to me and rude, or are they going to be nice and want to please me? Think about it. You ever been around anyone who makes you feel like $1 million? How do you treat that person? They make you feel great about yourself. I'm all over them. You want to play with me? You want to go get coffee? Anyone who makes you feel good. Don't you want, how do you act with them? That's what a leader does. That is leadership. That's all I teach here. I want you to know how to bring out the best in your kids and make them feel good about themselves. If you're reminding them about the bad stuff, you're berating them, bullying, and knocking them down. Their self-esteem's in the toilet. My goal is that they like themselves and they have high self-esteem. Teenager I worked with many years ago said years later after working with him, he said, I didn't like myself till I met you. That was my power. That was my superpower. I knew how to make them like themselves when they were with me. That's everything, everything. An example of this is the pool story. It's the very first video that I've got pinned on my page here on TikTok. And it's called Example of Leadership Parenting. It's also pinned on Instagram, but I don't know how to do Facebook. I don't do any of that. But I did do Instagram and TikTok myself. Pretty proud of that. I don't do it now, but I did pin that video because I've told it 1 million times, the example of leadership parenting. It's the pool story. I've told it 1 million times, but in that video, I hit every point. Normally I forget something and later on I go, darn it. But that one I hit every point. I deal with bad behavior, then I focus on the good kid. And then what do I get? A good kid. If you bring up the bad behavior after that, never use the good times to discuss the bad times. A lot of parents of teenagers do this because there's a lot of resentment and anger towards your teenager, what hell they've put you through. So I teach parents how to connect with their teenagers. And I say, do not leverage that fun time, that going out for coffee with them to talk about the bad stuff. Sure enough, some of them do. Not most of them don't. Most of them don't, but some of them do. They say, I love the fact that we're going out and enjoying each other because the last 2 years with you has been hell. Oh, and then you can't figure out why they just told you to F off and they're not talking to you for the next month. So, I warn them, but they can't help it. If you talk about the bad times, that's all you're going to get. Focus on the good stuff. Put your focus, where you put your focus, where you put your energy is what grows. Okay, girl, do you have book recommendations? Well, I've never read a book on parenting or kids, so no, never. Kids taught me all this. I learned all this through experience. I'm experience-based. So I've never, ever read a book. The whole time I would read a book on parenting or kids, I'd probably be going like this, crap, crap, crap. Because I invented everything I teach. So it's not that it's bad. It's just not what I would teach. So why would I read? Yeah. I just wouldn't do it. Maybe I asked my daughter if I could write a book. She does all my marketing and all my planning. And I said, can I write a book? And she says, no, not right now, Mom. So yeah, I'm not allowed to. I hate being in charge. I am with parenting, but with my business and all that, she manages everything now. I hate all that stuff. Thank God she's on board full time now. Thank God. She loves business. So, but we're in the caring field too. She loves business, but it has to be something that she feels good about too. So yeah, talk about we're so lucky. Anyway. Yeah, I will write a book one day, I'm sure. I'm only 63. I figure by the time I'm 70, I'll probably be ready. Just because I'll have more time. Any parenting advice for parents who are healing from childhood trauma? Huge portion of my clients, that's part of it. I always say heal through your parenting. Okay, it sounds simple, but it's not. Heal through the kind of parent you can be. It'll bring out the best in you. You'll see that reflection in your children. That will heal you. Your children will heal you. I see it time and time. That's only in coaching that really works because I get down to the nitty gritty. I'm not a therapist. I don't get into the past, but I move forward and I say, okay, I understand what you've been through. Sometimes I need to know some stuff. Some of it's horrific. And I say, okay, so let's use your children to heal your trauma. Let's get your relationship with your kids just beautiful. And all of a sudden, you'll have more compassion for your parents, what they did to you, because they did the best they knew how. You'll have more compassion for them. It'll change everything. So, and it does. It takes time though. It's hard work. I'm not a therapist at all. I'm very bossy in coaching because I don't focus on the past. Therapists focus on the past. I focus on the future. So I have to keep us really focused on the future because that will heal your past, right? If you arrive in a beautiful place, a beautiful relationship with your own children and you're happy, would that be the best healing process, right? That's the way I look at it. That would be a book that would be constantly rewritten. Kids can be diverse these days. That's ridiculous. I teach relationships, love. That never changes. I'm very careful too. You'll notice I don't talk about a lot of trendy stuff. I want my stuff to be timeless. I teach relationship, love. How is that not? And leadership parenting, I was doing this long before anyone else was. And I don't know anyone doing this. Like I invented this stuff. But it's timeless. So yeah, love is timeless. How is this not timeless? Yeah. Kind of look like the actress from, I don't know who she is. You wouldn't know who this person was, but I used to be compared to Anne Margaret a lot. She's an older, I don't know if she's still alive now, but she was an older, she used to do movies with Elvis Presley and all that stuff. I used to be compared to her a lot. I don't know. I never saw that. So everyone sees something different. It was a funny one though. Someone called me, I looked at the person, I thought, that's interesting. Yeah. Okay, can you describe more about leadership parenting? Your goal as a leader, as a parent, is to make your children and teenagers feel good about themselves. That is your goal. That is your goal. But you don't ignore bad behavior. With teenagers, you let the small stuff go, though. I'm going to read out my top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. Teenagers are my favorite age. And the reason is I know how to adjust myself to connect with them. You got to start letting stuff go. You're their leader between up until 12, you're their leader. And then you want to start passing the torch over to them. You're just there for the big stuff. And you, hopefully, if you've done it well, they'll tell you everything. My son was 15 and he was kind of mad when he said this. He says, you've been a difficult mom, because he had friends who were rebelling and having a blast doing it. And they were getting in trouble. And he kind of thought he was missing out, I guess. I don't know. And he was, I think, 15. And he says, you've been a difficult mom. I was shocked. I thought I was great. We were close and everything. And I said, why? And he goes, because I could never rebel. You're too reasonable and easy to talk to. Well, that's a shame. That's too bad. So anyway, but yeah, you can still be a leader with a teenager, but you're just there for the big stuff. And when you're not on the small stuff, they're always thinking about what the right thing to do is, because you've raised them to be problem solvers and self-thinkers and self-disciplined. That's why I never told my kids what to do. I was just there if they messed up. I'd just come in and say, well, what do you think you should do about that? That's how I did it. It was that easy. But I put in the work. I put in that base work, okay? Now, here's my top 4 tips for parenting teenagers. I've added one. It's the last one. My first tip is listen to understand and show empathy. You don't listen to gather information to lecture with, or they will shut you out. If they want your advice, they'll ask for it. They already know it anyway. Number 2 is you negotiate pretty much everything with the teenager. Hey, I want your dirty clothes in the hamper. What do you want from me? It's not a blanket statement, but you do it with as much as you can, because you're reciprocity, you're giving respect to get it, right? You got to give to get. Number 3 is don't sweat the small stuff with teenagers. If they do something stupid and it's not a big deal, just say, well, that was stupid. Do you want to hear what I did when I was your age? Or do you want to hear what I did this morning? Like, in other words, it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to make mistakes. Let's laugh it off. Number 4 is the one I added. Don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. I already just talked about that, how a lot of parents of teenagers have a lot of resentment and anger towards what their teenagers have put them through. So I'll teach them how to bond with them, and then they're out having fun together doing something. And then the parent will want to rehash some of the stuff their teenagers put them through. Oh, it's a disaster. They go backwards and they go right back where they started, if not worse. So yeah, don't leverage the good times to discuss the bad times. You have to let it go. You know, I always say the payback with teenagers, if they put you through hell, the payback is when they have their own teenagers and you can just sit back and watch the show. It's a slow burn. You have to wait a long time, but you'll get there. So yeah. Okay. I remember once my son, I don't know what it was. I had to pick him up really late or something, and he wasn't where he said it. I don't know what it was. And I said, what did I say to him? I said, I'll get you. I said, you'll be, and then he says, yeah, what are you going to do? And I said, you'll be changing my diapers when I'm old. And he goes, you'll be in a home. I never did get back at him for that. What do you think is the hardest stage of parenting and the funniest? The hardest stage by far for me was the toddler stage, because I'm a real safety nut, and it was great at home. But when I took them out, I could never relax or enjoy myself. I was watching them constantly. And yeah, so that was the hardest, because physically it's very demanding, because you can't take your eyes off them. So I found the toddler age the hardest. And then the funniest stage, I would say, well, my most fun stage by far is teenagers. They were just a blast. They're so witty and funny. And I remember my son, though, he was very witty. And I remember he was 8 years old, but he was witty when he was really young. My daughter is very witty now, but they're grown-ups now. But anyway, he was 8 years old, and I'll never forget this. He came home from school, and he said, and he was just 8. He was very funny, but this was witty. And he came home from school, and he goes, we got this new kid in school. And his name is spelled John, but he pronounces it Jean. He's from South Africa. And he says, that's really weird. He doesn't pronounce his name correctly. So I said, and we'll call my son Terry. Okay, it's not his name, but we'll call him Terry. And I said, it's his name. He can pronounce it any way he wants. So my son says, okay, fine. My name is Terry, but it's pronounced Braveheart. Like that, he came up with that. I thought that was really clever. Anyway, there's someone on here, and I don't even want to call attention to it, but it just strikes me as so funny. Someone's like a stalker, creepy stalker, just cuts me down every single post I come out with. I don't know what platform they use, but they keep talking about my 2 sons, and they keep referring to this guy who's in trouble. I have 1 son and 1 daughter. I don't know who that guy is. It's not my son. It's quite funny, actually. They're getting everything wrong, and then they keep telling everyone to stay away from me because I'm dangerous. But yeah, this person's yeah, creepy. But yeah, I have two sons, evidently. That's quite funny. My daughter looked it up. She does all that stuff. She looked it up, and she goes, "That's your other son. Here's your other son." Oh, okay. Didn't know I had two sons. I've got a lot of followers now. You get some real nut jobs on here. And I mean, like some really crazy stuff. And that happens to everybody, right? So yeah, don't worry about stuff like that. And they're just, imagine their life, just sitting there typing away. So that's kind of more sad. Okay. Who's the oldest of your kids? My son's 5 years older. He's 34 and he's got a baby now. And my daughter's 29. So yeah, they're all grown up. That I would say probably the hardest part of parenting was when they grew up. Parenting was the most fun I ever had. I miss it. It was just, you got these live-in little humans that you just laugh with all day. It was just, I miss it. I'm past that now. They've been grown up for quite some time. But yeah, I found that really hard when they grew up, and I knew they were growing up and they're leaving the nest, and I found that hard. Okay, so I got to get going. If you go in the link above, you can get my free behavior board, my mini toddler courses, my big boot camp courses. I have 2 of them. I have a toddler one, and all the mini toddler courses are thrown in as a bonus with that toddler boot camp course, okay? Then I've got my 3 to 12-year-old boot camp course and coaching. I just increased my prices for the first time in, I think, 12 years. So don't fall off your chair if you notice that, because it just went up in August. So anyway, okay, thanks so much for joining me. And I'm almost at 700,000 on here now on TikTok. So overall, I'm almost 1.5 million, but almost 700,000 here on TikTok. So I'm just floored by that. I can't believe it. Just an old lady sitting here talking about kids. I'm just shocked at that. Anyway, thanks so much. I do appreciate it. I do not take it for granted. Thanks so much. Anyway, I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye now.